couple of weeks ago I received a message from Ian of YouTube channel Barnaby Nutt. He was coming to Donegal on short notice and was looking for some advice on places to hike and paddle. Coincidentally, I was off that Saturday and we soon hatched a plan for Ian to paddle on Lough Belshade on Friday, and then I would join him for a hike on the Bluestack Ridge on Saturday and the summit of Donegal on Sunday. Saturday morning we met shortly after 8 AM for our Bluestacks hike. The weather wasn't great, with rain showers all day and low-lying cloud that would reduce visibility. However, we were hoping to escape the worst of the rain that wasn't forecast to arrive until the late afternoon. In terms of route, I'd put together one based on a track from a really old book that completes a circle of Lough Belshade, climbing to Croaghbane and Ardnagear on the main Bluestack Ridge. I modified this slightly to loop across to Croaghbane from Ardnagear before descending from Croaghbane to the original book-based loop. I was really lucky to find an online version of the original Lough Belshade loop on Outdoor Active, and I was able to modify it as needed. Up next is a video from that hike, but make sure you stick around afterwards for some extra route information and an introduction to day 2. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that and got a good feeling for what it's like on the Bluestack Mountains on a wet day. I will admit that's the wettest day I've spent in the mountains for a very long time. Only for the fact that Ian was there for the weekend, I probably wouldn't have ventured out on my own that day. Some of the video that you just watched was footage provided by Ian, so I have to say a big thanks to him for allowing me to use that. He has also produced a video showing the full 3 days of his trip to Donegal, and I'll link that in the description below and try and add one of those video card links at the end to take you straight to it. We started this walk by parking our vehicles at the end of a rough track beside some farm buildings. This was fine on a Saturday morning, but especially during the week, you need to make sure that you're not blocking access for the farm itself. Passing through a gate, we followed a rough stone track that eventually crosses a fairly substantial river that flows out of Lough Belshade high above us. The track brought us to a seemingly abandoned area on the Croaghbane River that I believe was used at one stage as part of a hydro scheme. Beyond this wide stony section, the track peters out and it's a matter of picking the best line across the boggy ground close to the river and sometimes on the heights just above. After approximately 1 kilometre of this terrain, the river took a 90-degree turn, and following a faint track along the edge, we gradually climbed to the shores of Lough Belshade, passing a number of really impressive waterfalls along the way. Lough Belshade was stunningly moody looking on a dull day, with low cloud hanging less than a couple of 100 metres above our heads and masking the high ridge itself. We spent some time here admiring the view, and I took the opportunity to get the drone up for the only opportunity of the whole day. We crossed the headwaters of the Croaghbane where it exits Lough Belshade using a stone construction that seemed to also have some use in the old hydro scheme, before picking up a faint track that rises up the steep lower slopes of Croaghbane above Lough Belshade. Contouring around the slope, we dropped down into a narrow steep gully that follows an unnamed stream and took us well up into the low cloud and robbing us of what must have been really amazing views. At the top of this gully we headed approximately north-northwest, climbing through rolling ground that was a fantastic mix of rocks and boggy sections, gradually gaining height towards the summit of Croaghbane at 641 metres. As we approached the summit, we were hit by pretty intense heavy rain and very strong winds. An unforecasted squall line was passing over Donegal and just happened to coincide with our summit. In the video you can hear the rain hitting my waterproof and it sounds for all the world like hail. Our planned route from Croaghbane to Croaghbane would have been straight into this strong wind, and with visibility down to less than 100 metres, we decided it was the prudent choice to cut our loop short and instead descend by the way that we had come up. It was really disappointing, but likely the wisest as well as the safest option. This squall, as well as the fairly persistent rain all day, must have dumped a huge amount of water in the Bluestacks that day, as the lower ground in particular was noticeably wetter on our return. The rivers and streams seemed that bit noisier, and the final crossing close to the end was definitely higher than just a few hours earlier. At times in the video you can get an idea just how wet we were, as Ian managed to catch me on camera a few times. We stopped for lunch back on the shores of Lough Belshade in a small weather window that allowed us to make tea and eat without getting everything soaked, before we dropped back to the start, emerging once again from the clouds and enjoying the beautiful atmospheric views back towards the mountains and out over Lough Esk. In total, we walked approximately 11 kilometres with an ascent of approximately 610 metres. Despite the weather, this was a really enjoyable walk. The terrain was much more manageable than I expected, and I was surprised by the tracks up to and just after Lough Belshade. This is definitely not the norm in the Bluestacks, but made everything so much easier. It's definitely a walk I'll be returning to in better weather, and hopefully this time I'll make it all the way across, finally, to the high point of Croaghbane. So, that was our Saturday adventure in the Bluestacks. If you enjoyed it and you want to see what we got up to on the Sunday, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and don't miss out. As always, thanks for joining me in this video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.